To me, when I hear the word Tenancingo, I think of young women who are naive and who are lured into these romantic relationships by sex traffickers.
The pimps are bringing in women from all over Mexico and into the New York area. The women are a commodity to be consumed and thrown away.
Al principio fueron muchos, fueron como 30, demasiado violento. Muchas veces casi hasta me mataba.
This is Tlaxcala province, one of the safest regions in Mexico, largely untouched by the drug wars, but this is the epicenter of the sex trafficking trade. I met Emilio Munoz, who works for a charity that helps victims of trafficking. Emilio explained how pimps from one particular town, Tenancingo, target women.
They show them houses that most people here can't afford, so the women not only fall in love with them, but also see an opportunity of having a better life. But obviously they can't imagine they will end up suffering sexual exploitation.
We went to see Tenancingo for ourselves, the town thriving on sex trafficking. Risque billboards lined the road in. Traffickers live in mansions like this, called Calquil Chill by locals, the Houses of Ass.
So we've just left Tenancingo. It didn't seem safe to film there openly. We've been told that in a town of just 10,000 people, virtually everyone is either involved with the human trafficking trade or has knowledge of what's going on.
Todo el pueblo está rodeado de...
The whole town knows. They're all accomplices, says Alicia, who was kidnapped by a Tenancingo trafficker and brought to New York City.
I would estimate there are thousands of victims being trafficked in from Tenancingo alone.
You know, some of them are just outright raped the very first night, and then when they wake up the second morning, there's such a sense of shame that they don't go back to their family.
Typically, the victims are very traditional, and on the naive side, they come from families where sex is not discussed, prostitution is unknown, and the women are completely unsuspecting.
Alicia's trafficker was brutal towards her. Now she wants other women to be on their guard.
Yo creo que lo único que puedo decir es que realmente no confíen mucho en un hombre. No se dejen engañar por ellos, que no les crean tantas cosas bonitas que ellos dicen.
No sé, tengo miedo. Tengo bastante miedo. Me dijeron de que si yo abría mi boca, decía todo lo que estoy diciendo, me iban a llegar a hacer daño. Incluso se iban a llegar a meter con mi familia.
Maria is trying to forget her ordeal, dreaming of becoming a professional footballer. At 17 years old, she left her baby boy behind in Central America and travelled to Mexico, recruited by women who promised her work as a waitress.
Todo lo que traía ya me los quitaron. Hasta incluso traía el número de mi mamá para comunicarme con ella y también me quitaron todo eso. Porque ellos no querían que yo tuviera comunicación con mi familia.
When Maria got to the restaurant in Mexico, she was taken down to the parking lot where men gathered to buy prostitutes. The shocked teenager was told to have sex with the men to pay back her travel costs.
Entonces ya estando ahí, nosotros teníamos que tener intimidad con los clientes y tomar así, fichar con ellos y hacer lo que ellos quisieran, porque si no lo hacíamos con ella era que teníamos que arreglar cuentas después. Hay unos que se portaban bien y hay otros que no.
Maria was forced into prostitution, sold from one bar owner to another, beaten when she tried to escape. Now she's found refuge in a women's shelter in Mexico City. The capital is a hub for women trafficked from across Latin America. And many of the prostitutes on the streets not far from Maria's shelter are victims of trafficking themselves. The scale of the problem is rooted deep in Mexican society.
What can the Mexican government do to stop the traffickers?
I believe it's important that they talk about it and convince the public to be aware that this is going on and to report it so that the government can go after the criminals.
Persuading trafficked women to have faith in officials is hard. Maria says she was sexually abused by one of the immigration officers who rescued her. Mexico's government is trying to tackle corruption.
For sure, corruption plays a key role in the lack of prosecution of human trafficking, not only in Mexico but worldwide. But of course, this is a very long process in order to clean the whole system.
Maria is safe now, but she still fears the traffickers who bought and sold her.
How much of a problem is prostitution and human trafficking here in Western Queens?
It's a rampant problem, especially right here on Roosevelt Avenue. This has been a problem for the last 20 years. Times Square has been cleaned up. Every illegal activity that used to be in Times Square has come over to Roosevelt Avenue. The women are advertised through these small little baseball-like or business-like cards,
which may contain pictures of nude women on them, but more often contain ads for chocolates or flowers or even children's birthday cards.
You'll have usually a man standing on a corner somewhere on these streets of Roosevelt. As you approach them, they'll say the magic words, chica, chica, girls, girls.
And those cards are called chica cards. Johns will then call the number on the chica card. The card has a number that links the caller to a driver, and the driver sets up a delivery schedule. The woman then is picked up by the driver and driven around from location to location over the course of typically a 10-hour shift.
And are the women, do they go to private homes or how does it work?
For the most part, they go to private homes. When you call the numbers, they'll ask for an address so that they can deliver the women to you. What we've uncovered over the last few years is that they have mobile trucks. They'll have mattresses there on the back. You'll get in, they'll shut the back. The truck will drive around for a while, wait until you're done, let you off at a different street, and that's it.
She will be required to service a John and be done and on to the next appointment within a 15-minute period. They're held hostage to be forced into prostitution. I've had clients who have had to work a double shift, so they will be working 2 10-hour shifts sequentially. They've explained to me that the chauffeurs will often arrange for house parties where a woman will be taken to a location and gang raped over the course of time by 10, 12, 15 men at once. And the chauffeur collects the money for each act of rape against the woman.
Now, the next time you get arrested for patronizing a prostitute, there will be no offer. Guys, this is a one-shot deal.
Welcome to John School. This diverse group of men share one characteristic. They've all been arrested for trying to buy sex. Instead of going to jail, they're attending a class about the dangers of prostitution, learning how women are often the victims of sex trafficking.
The average age of entry into prostitution is between 11 to 14 years old. Little kids, little girls, they are having their youth taken from them.
The idea is to educate this audience about trafficking. They may even be able to help the victims.
And we've had a few cases where Johns have actually saved the prostitute when she has told him that she was being trafficked. He has in fact brought her to the police. He didn't go in with her to the police, but he's dropped her off to save her.
So in chlamydia, what a male may notice.
Little is left to the imagination during a presentation on sexually transmitted diseases. This is only the beginning, though. The highlight of John School is Rosetta, a plain-speaking former prostitute.
I was a throwaway to you, like all them other girls out there. There's potential. You're not helping. You're hindering.
Rosetta is withering, telling the men they can't ignore the consequences of using a prostitute.
We're going out there, picking up some broken female, and then she's using drugs or giving it to a pimp who's fighting for territories and gang involved, and then you want to act like you're not part of the downfall of the community by your behavior.
Some men at John School are sullen. Others see the program as a revelation. One tells me he never realized that prostitutes are often trafficking victims.
I really, didn't think it was such a big thing, in the country. But now that I know at this point, the only thing I could do is spread the word and prevent anybody else from getting into trouble.
It's a classroom unlike any other, where consumers of sex learn how their behavior is hurting women.
It's about respect for women. It's about respect for the law. It's about respect for the communities in which you are arrested.